is where the fun begins.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Sith Talk. Today we have back on the show Hannah from the Raeside YouTube channel. How you doing,
Yeah.
Hannah?
I'm doing so great and about 10,000 times better than that after last night's episode.
Oh, yes. We are going to literally spend this whole time talking about that. I
Mhm,
cannot
mhm.
wait.
Yeah,
So, tell us a little bit about your channel, what your channel focuses on, and where we can
yeah,
find you at.
absolutely. So my YouTube channel at the Raeside RAE side it's a pretty much just a Star Wars community. I really focus on talking to the fans live, discussing ideas, sharing thoughts and predictions, and sharing the love really for Star Wars. So I have many live shows, many different types of live shows going on every week. So if you want to be a part of the fun, it's a great place to be. I
Yes.
think people it gets pretty chaotic, but in a very fun way. So that's pretty much in brief summary what is happening at the Rayside.
Yes. So if you guys aren't subscribed to Hannah, I'm going to put the link to her channel down in the description. Go check her out. It is a must. She is always live, always dropping content. So, yes, for
Absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely.
So, you've been on the show before and you've answered already that first
Mm,
set of questions. But for the lucky folks
yes.
that come back on the second time, there's a new set of questions.
Oh, yes,
So,
okay.
are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So, the
Let's
first
go.
one is, who got you into Star Wars?
Who got me into Star Wars? I always have to credit, my 2 older brothers, to having 2 older brothers that are very much there. They got to watch the prequels in the theaters and things like that. They showed it to me when I was about 9 years old,
Uh huh.
and we watched through all 6 movies. We did a binge watch of all 6 of the movies one night as like a sibling movie night, and, pretty much from then, it was green lights go, let's go.
So
So,
that was your
yeah, my 2
first
brothers.
experience
Mm.
with Star Wars, was watching all 6 in a row is how you were
Yep.
introduced to it? That's
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah, yeah, and Phantom Menace was the start, so we started, chronologically from 1 to 6. We
Yeah.
didn't start because sometimes it's a bit of a contentious topic, whether you start with the
Yeah.
original and then go back, but I started with Phantom Menace, and I think that's why I mean, my previous answer, like, when I was last on here, my favorite movie is Phantom
It's
Menace. I think
Phantom
maybe that's
Menace,
why
yeah.
it's Phantom Menace, yeah, it's just, like, the first one, first impression, I think that's why. Mm.
Yeah. That's why, like, A New Hope is my favorite out of the OG trilogy because of the first
Mm.
impression thing. Because that's the first thing I
Yeah,
saw back in the day. So,
yeah.
that's awesome, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
So the next one, and this could be a juicy one.
Oh,
What
here we go.
is your dream Star Wars project? If you could have any project,
Oh,
any
dude.
movie, show, game book, number one project you would want to see.
For sure. Well, it is quite funny, and I feel like this is maybe a easy answer, but I really grew up with the Clone Wars, and I really grew up with
Uh huh.
Ahsoka. So if this conversation was having like a year or two ago, or even longer, I would have said Ahsoka. I would have said a live action Ahsoka show. So
Yeah.
I'm in heaven right now. But because that's already
Mm.
happened, another answer I would probably give to this question is I am a very big fan of Leia, and I think there's a lot of stories with Leia that we could see. So I would be
Oh
down for
yeah.
maybe like a post Return of the Jedi. Even I would be okay if it was animated, like an animated show where we
Yeah.
followed the stories of like Luke doing some training as a Jedi and exploring the things of the Force, but then also the other storyline would be Leia in the Senate. What is she doing with the politics? Who's she trying to fight
Yeah.
against? Pretty much Clone Wars, but with instead of Anakin, Ahsoka, Rex as the main characters, having Leia, Han, and Luke as the main characters in
Oh,
this other era. That's what I want.
I think that's most fans' dream, is for something like
Right?
that, live action or animated.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, that would be
100%.
so cool. So cool.
Mm, absolutely.
So the last question is, what character do you want either to come back or you just want to see more of? If you could see any character come back in any way,
Oh,
alive or dead.
oh yeah, yeah. I would have to say Qui-Gon. I think Qui-Gon
Yeah?
because I think very interesting character. I think a lot of people resonated with Qui-Gon and found him quite interesting. I
Yeah.
understood, like, I understand why he died so early. Obviously, it fits into everything perfectly. But I think there's so much interest there, and I really love the Tales of the Jedi, episodes we got, and he was in those for,
Oh,
like, 1.5
yes.
episodes, a little bit,
Yep.
and that was awesome, so I was like, I would love a show or for him to come up. He popped up in Kenobi, but I would have loved for him to be a massive part of Kenobi, and, yeah, I would
Mhm.
like to see a lot more of his character more because I think he's a really interesting Jedi. Mm.
Yeah, I would love more Qui-Gon too. That would be
Yeah,
so
right?
awesome, man.
Yeah.
Ah, so,
So good.
oh yeah, for sure. So now that we got the questions out of the way, the big
Yes.
thing today, episode 5 of Ahsoka. Wow. 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 What did you think of the episode?
Uh, it's it's hard to put into words because I feel like if
Yeah.
I start to describe it, it like belittles like how insane it was. It was just it was a fever dream. It was a dream come true. I mean, from a decade, we've all been like, "Oh, what if the Clone Wars was ever live action?" Like, it's just been
Yeah.
this kind of concept, and to see it happening right in front of our eyes, and we're seeing young Ahsoka, and we're seeing freaking Hayden
Ah.
Christensen in Clone Wars armor was absolutely stunning. Look at him. Look how handsome he is. That he's literally that. He literally looked like that. That is spot
Yeah.
on. But,
Yes.
I think I just couldn't find words. Like, often I find, especially because I do filmed reactions, and I can kind of
Mhm.
watch back myself and go, "Oh, this is how I reacted." This funny enough, I didn't actually react really overly because I
Yeah.
think I was just in such a state of shock. I just
Yep.
like the whole edit of the video is just me with my mouth open because I just can't even move. I can't speak. I'm just like,
Yeah.
this is happening. This is happening. So, shock. I guess that's probably the best way to describe how I reacted to shock.
That's exactly how I felt. Like, I remember halfway through the episode, at one point I was like, "This is too much. I can't handle this. Like, this is too
Yeah.
much."
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
barely reacting. I was just like so in shock and in awe. And I think at one point in the middle of one of the Clone Wars flashbacks, I think I started tearing up because I was finally
Mm,
starting to react. And then I stopped because I was so like enthralled in what was going on. Cause like I couldn't believe we got
mm.
all of that in one episode. Like I thought we were gonna get a little
Yeah.
Hayden. It was a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
chunk of Hayden, which was wild. So
Absolutely.
crazy
It
episode.
it was insane. I think the moment actually, what was the moment that you teared up? Do you know the exact, like, scene it was? Or if
Oh,
it was the
it,
same?
it might have been when I think Anakin and Ahsoka were talking like near that dead clone's body and seeing Rex in the background, and I think just that meaningful
Mm,
conversation was just starting to hit, and then seeing Rex
mm.
and like realizing what we're actually getting. I think it was around
Yeah.
there. It was in the middle because I was just
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
like, oh my god,
I think it was a bit the same, whereas it was near, like, the almost the end of all these sequences where I started actually
yeah,
getting emotion and tearing up because, yeah, I think the same thing. It was just that that shock was just so full on. Also, with Rex showing up, that was so funny because I don't
oh
think I realized for about 10 seconds. I don't like, at least, like, it was just he was just back there, and then just,
yeah,
like, that moment of realizing the shoulder armor, the helmet, the everything, and you just did it, like, put it together, and I'm like, "It's Rex, oh my god."
thanks Rex.
Just
Yeah, I know.
insane, insane.
I
Oh.
saw him at first and I'm like, "Rex? Is that Rex? It has to
Mm,
be Rex." And I was
yeah.
hoping that like Anakin would have been like, "Rex, let's go," or say something to cue it. So I'm like, maybe it was Rex, maybe it was another ARC trooper, who knows? But then when we get him again in the phase 2 armor and it's
Mm.
Tem's voice, oh,
Yeah.
so beautiful.
Oh, it's so good.
So
So, so
beautiful.
good. I always love to hear Tim's voice. You can't not. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. So I also liked how the episode started off. So it started off kind of slow with Hera and them landing. I love seeing Jason. I can't get enough of Jason. Like I love
Yes.
every
Yes.
bit of him when he comes
Yeah.
out. And as soon as he walked off the ghost, the minute he walked off, in my reaction, I'm like, I'm calling it. He's gonna sense Ahsoka's body in the water. I'm calling it. And like he felt her
Mm.
in the force, which was crazy that he felt and heard the lightsaber battle between Anakin and Ahsoka. That's kind of wild.
For sure, for sure. I think, I'm with you. I'm a really big Jason fan. Like, I didn't think of this kid, for more than 5 seconds before this show.
Yeah.
But now I'm obsessed. I'm like, I wanna see what he can do. I wanna see him maybe be trained by Ahsoka, by Luke, by someone. I wanna see where he goes. But absolutely, I think it made this whole like, as much as we're getting this incredible, shocking flashback scenes and we're experiencing this incredible thing, it's still connecting everything to the story, and I think,
Yeah.
yeah, seeing Jason, like, do this whole thing and hearing the lightsaber fights was such a cool thing to see. I think yeah, I was really excited by that, whole connection there. It was super cool.
That was super cool, and then after that, when Carson Teva name dropped, Senator Organa,
Oh, yeah.
and, like, some people were like,
Right?
"You mean Bail?" But no, it was Leia because he said she can't do anything more for us. Like, are we gonna see Leia?
Mm.
Do you think that's possible?
Look, I don't know, and again, I'm like I said, I'm a massive Leia fan, and I'm, like, hanging out for Leia content.
Yeah.
So I was, like, freaking which I feel kinda bad for because I am a massive Clone Wars fan, but I think that moment I probably reacted the most, like, insanely because I was like,
Yeah.
"Organa!" I was like, "What?" Um,
Yeah. That
could
that's a
could
big
we see
name drop.
Leia? I think we could see her someone actually suggested this, so this is I can't credit this is my own idea, but someone in a live chat suggested this, that we see her, in a hologram. Because we also have the conversation of, is it,
Oh.
CGI? Is it how is she gonna be composited? Is it gonna be the same when they get
Yeah.
an actor and composite her face onto her, things like that?
Yeah.
Um so someone suggested if she came up just briefly in a hologram to obviously not take away from everything that's happening, but also
Ooh.
have this great little just pop up of Leia giving Hera a call about doing something, or I could see that happening. Mm.
Yeah, that would be crazy. So, getting that to
Mm.
start off the episode was dope, and then we get the title, the name drop, the Shadow Warrior, right? Is what it was called? Shadow Warrior?
Mm.
The name of the
Yes,
episode?
yeah, Shadow Warrior.
And
Yeah.
and then it cuts to them on the bridge in the world between worlds. That moment, oh, I did not expect them to start sparring or start fighting with the lightsabers. Like, I didn't expect that at all. And Hayden
Yeah.
still has those moves. He was moving good. The
Oh man.
CGI looked amazing. Like, what'd you think seeing that
Yeah.
opening sequence?
I was really amazed, I think, with you. I've been really amazed by the production and the CGI and the look of everything. I didn't really at all think that we were in the volume, or I wasn't really kind of taken out of it
Yeah,
by anything. I was like, they're standing in space, like that. Yeah, that's what they're doing. Like I was
yeah,
really, I think transported there. I was really impressed by the visuals of it. And then yeah, Hayden was just it was just so emotional to see him in that way because he was so perfect. He had it all, he had all the moves, he looked really good. It was just utterly perfect to see him in this context again. It was such a great opening scene for kind of what was to follow with these scenes specifically. It was just beautiful.
yeah. And one thing that they didn't do that I liked is, when they deep fake CGI, they'll kind of do like weird angles or make sure it's dark to make it easier for them with the CGI. Like,
Mm.
it was all straight on his face. He would come up close to the camera, walk by snips and talk, and like
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
he looked amazing no matter what angle it was, and it paused on his face. So like, I don't know why all the CGI doesn't look like that because he looked great in every version of him, and we got a few versions.
I totally agree. I didn't really find myself like, I was wondering if there's a few scenes where they don't even DH him at all, but I was like, but
Right?
they wouldn't not DH him, but also I was like, I just can't tell, like, I can't kind of see that, they kind of have that weird kind of glow or, like, kind of
Yeah.
fuzz around. I couldn't
Yep.
even see any of that. I was like, This is just, like, him at this time." Like, I don't understand. I couldn't comprehend how good it
That's
looked,
what it
but,
felt like.
totally agree, yeah, yeah. Oh, it's amazing.
It looked it looks way better than it did in Kenobi. So I loved seeing him in Kenobi,
Mm.
but he looked old as hell in Kenobi. He was
He
old.
did.
You could see it
Yeah.
in his face in
Oh,
Kenobi, but
yeah. Oh,
here
yeah.
it looked like there was a time machine. So it was a huge difference in the technology.
Yeah, for sure. Mm,
S
absolutely.
so crazy. And then, man, the moment he cut the bridge and she's falling,
Mm.
and I didn't notice it till my second watch through, but on the second watch through, when she's falling through the clouds, you could see young Snips in the clouds falling. Like, she turns from regular
Oh,
Ahsoka
really?
to young Ahsoka in the clouds, then
Oh,
she
damn.
hits, and then you see her on the floor. Yeah, it's really, really quick. But when I was looking at her and seeing her get up slowly, I'm like, there's something different about her. And once I realized it was young Ahsoka, I was like, yo, I was shocked at that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then,
Oh, 100%.
yeah, and then like seeing her get up, and then Hayden, this guy with the shorter hair in this armor, run by and say, "Hurry up, Snips." And she takes out the one saber, the green saber, and she's like, "This is the Clone Wars." I lost it. I lost it. What were you feeling right then, being such a huge Clone Wars fan at that moment?
I think I just again, I come back to that thing of shock. I think I was just speechless. I just yeah, but by the time she sort of stood up and I saw her, Laku was a lot shorter, I was like, "We're here.
Yeah.
We're in Clone Wars. We're
Yeah.
here," and I just was so they could like, nothing could have even happened. They could have just stood there and spoken, and I would have been
Yep.
amazed. So, to see, yeah, the clones running by, the firefight, it sounded like Clone Wars. It sounded like we were in a Clone Wars battle. It was
Yep.
just such a dream, and I was really transported to being, like I was pretty young when the Clone Wars was coming out. Like, I was transported to being, like, 12 and sitting on my couch in my family home watching Clone Wars. Like, I felt
Yeah.
like I was 12 years old again, so it was just amazing. It was so, so amazing. I just shock and excitement. I was like, "Here we go. Let's go. Let's get in there."
Yeah, and I loved how the sequence was so long and there was a lot of dialogue. Like, usually when we get stuff like that, it's short and then they'll cut back to something different. But like, it just kept going and going and going. And it was such a dope feeling to get that much of the Clone Wars.
Mm.
And Hayden killed it, man. He still has it. He did such a good job delivering all his lines. Like, I felt Anakin from Clone Wars in animated. I like it felt like him in live action from animation, if that makes sense. Like,
100%.
he portrayed him so
100%.
well. It just felt so natural. Like, everything, like just the way he talked, his mannerisms when he
Mm.
first walked up with his hands behind his back,
Mm.
like he would always do that in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, right?
it
Oh,
was just so beautiful, man.
I do wonder if I mean, and it is easy that Dave is this person that he understood the look and the tone of Clone Wars Anakin so well. So he would have been amazing. It makes sense that he did direct this episode because he
Yep.
would have been able to give so much detailed direction to,
Yep.
tilt your head more this way when you say this line and do these kinds of
Yeah.
little notices. But I totally agree. It feels like we had the perfect Hayden Christensen portraying a version of Matt Lanter's Anakin. Like, but it wasn't that's not to take away from Hayden being Anakin, like the Anakin, but
Yeah.
it's like this just perfect melding of those 2 really good characters, or character versions, I should say, I guess. So yeah, I totally agree. I very much got a Clone Wars Anakin vibe in this. It was like he was portraying that tone of the animated version.
Yeah. So
Mm.
good. So that first sequence was the Battle of Ryloth, and then after that, we get her a little bit older, and I was like, "Yo, she has the 2 sabers. She's wearing the outfit from season 7." But then when I
Mm.
saw like the 332nd clone troopers run by, and then she killed that
Yeah.
first Maul DeLorean, I was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god, is this the siege of Mandalore? Like, is this really
Uh,
happening?" So
yeah.
that was crazy. The one dude, I thought it was Gar Saxon for a second, but I think it was just a regular Maul DeLorean because she killed him real quick.
'Cause she
But
yeah,
that
she killed
sequence,
him. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, that couldn't be Gar Saxon. So seeing those guys live action was amazing. And then she kind of
Mm,
stops, does the classic Ahsoka pose, and you see
mm,
Revenge of the Sith Anakin walk up and say, "I don't remember this battle." And that conversation was just so beautiful and deep because talking about you left me at this point by then and all that. Like, how did you feel in that moment?
mm. Oh yeah, this one was a real just insane realization of where we were. There's someone to use like, "Oh, are we here?" And then the Mandalorian. I was like, "We're here." Oh my god.
Yeah,
Um, and this point of time of Ahsoka, Siege of Mandalore is good because it looks good. It's an epic battle, but it's also so deep in exploring her character and where she's at. And I think this
yeah.
conversation that they got to share here was so important and deep to both of those characters of where they were at the time.
Mhm.
It was just so cool to see this in live action and to see just I think because Siege of Mandalore is so important to Star Wars and
It
Clone Wars
is.
fans, and then seeing Hayden in that context was really like just the amazing thing.
Yeah.
It's like Hayden knows this, like Hayden's Anakin is in this. Like that is so cool. So
Sh
cool to see.
she
Yeah.
she even said it too. She said, "This is the siege of Mandalore." Like, the minute she
Mm.
name dropped it, I was like, "Oh my god, this is beautiful." But
So good.
the one thing I wish she would have at least name dropped, it would have been nice to see it, but if she would have been like, "This is where I defeated Darth Maul and captured him," or if she would have name dropped how she fought Maul here
Mm.
because Maul was trying to
Would
get
have freaked
him
out.
for Palps, it would have been yeah. Or if we would have got to see it, imagine if she would have showed him like, "This is where I fought Maul," and we would have got to see that for a little bit
Mm.
live action. Oh,
Mm.
I would have died. I would have had a heart attack.
I I really thought like, once I saw The Mandalorian and was like, "Okay, we're here in this point in time," I was like, "Are we gonna get, like, a shot of Darth Maul right now?" Of, like
He's
I thought
there.
maybe him, like, I can't remember, like, the sequence of this battle of, like, he may be in the distance, like, running towards Ahsoka or
Yeah.
something, or, like, something like, a certain scene about to happen, or he's, like, up on the scaffold or something, where we just
Yeah.
see him in the distance, and, like, that would've been cool, but, I mean, it's still just as amazing knowing
Yeah.
that he was, like, around even though we didn't see him.
Yep. Yeah, that was so dope, and then when he turned his back to her, pulled out his saber, in my mind, I was like, "Oh, that would be cool if it was red,"
Oh.
and he
Mm,
ignited it, and it was red. I lost it, like, that was crazy, and then he turns around, and it's Sith Eyes, Revenge of the Sith,
yeah.
Darth Vader Anakin.
Mm,
Wow, that was crazy, and
mm,
then him fighting Ahsoka, and then he kicks her back into the world between worlds. Before that kick, though, I thought they were going to Mustafar because there were rumors, and during that fight, it was a lot of, like, red behind the smoking clouds, almost looking like, like a Mustafar background, so I thought they were about to go there, but
yeah.
she ended up getting kicked back into the world between worlds, but what'd you think
Mm.
about that when he took that
Yeah,
saber out?
definitely. I think this was so great to see because I think a part of the story with Anakin and Ahsoka is, it's beautiful and it's a really powerful moment in season 7 of Clone Wars where Ahsoka senses Anakin has turned and then
Yeah,
she has that realization, but then her focus has shifted because all the clones turn and she's trying to survive, right? So I feel like she
yeah,
doesn't have time in that moment to kind of really think more about what else was happening. Where this kind of puts it in her face of obviously
mhm,
years later she finds out Darth Vader is Anakin, but at this
yeah.
point she's back in age and she's facing Sith Anakin, dark side Anakin turned Anakin, and I think that was a really like, as a story point, I think that was really interesting for Ahsoka to face that front on as much as I know she faced Vader, it's interesting for her to face
Yeah.
just, like, newly turned Anakin and to see what that was like and to see what she would have done in that moment. Like, if we have the question of if it wasn't Obi-Wan and Mustafar that went to go fight Anakin, and it was Ahsoka, I feel like this is kind of what it would look like of, if
Yeah.
she was there instead and what that would have been like. So, There's so many layers to that moment, but it was just so amazing. It was so, so cool to see.
So many layers. And one part I forgot to mention, we skipped over. I think it was after the Battle of Ryloth when she's standing there and seeing Anakin walk in the distance, and you see him
Oh,
flash to
yeah.
Vader real quick and then flash back. That that kind of like scared me. I was like, "Oh, like I didn't expect that." And it looks so good cuz oh
Yeah.
man, that was such a
Yeah, yeah,
dope
yeah.
moment and we kind of got it again when after he kicked her out and you heard the steps
He's
coming
like walking
and you
in.
saw him flash to
Yeah.
yeah, flash to
Mm.
Vader, flashback, flash to Vader. I thought we were gonna get him as Vader for a little bit, fighting Ahsoka, and maybe get like a little Twilight of the Apprentice live action. That would have been crazy if they would have did
Yeah,
that
for
scene
sure.
there, cut his helmet again. But yeah, that final fight on the bridge, is it me or did Ahsoka use the same move on Anakin that Obi-Wan used on Anakin and Kenobi in the flashback training? That kind of slick move where she slides past him, like disarms him and gets his lightsaber. Because remember, Kenobi did that to him in that Kenobi
Yes.
flashback. It looked very
Yeah.
similar
Yeah, I would love to actually see an edit of those 2 scenes put together,
side by
but I
side.
kind of yeah, side by side, because I think you're right. I think it is, like, the same like, she does that slide and then, like, yeah, disarms and then gets it, and then that's, like,
Yeah,
where they stop. So, yeah, I reckon that is very close, if not, like, the same move, which is really interesting that that gets him every time.
yeah.
Oh, I
So
love it.
after that, she throws the saber and they kind of make up. He turns back to regular Anakin. And then like the minute he said something to I forgot what the last thing he said was, but then you see the camera kinda go past Ahsoka, and then I'm like, "Oh, he's gone." And then it pans past her and he's
Yes.
gone, he disappeared.
Oh, I was so
I was
sad.
like, "No, I wanted more. I wanted, like, one more scene or"
Yeah.
oh, it was so beautiful how that was done. And then she's kinda, like, reborn, and the minute she came out of that ship with the white blanket, I'm like, "Ahsoka the White? Are we getting Ahsoka the White?"
Yeah. Let's go. And
So
I think it's really interesting. I think they really did this similarly to Rebels, where I saw a picture of the animated coat she has, and the coat
mhm,
she has in live action is like the same. It's like the same buttons here, like on this little piece here. It's like
uh-huh.
the same little like hood and cross piece. So yeah, it's literally just we've got our Gandalf, the Ahsoka the Gandalf, the white.
Yeah. So
For sure.
that was cool. Like, I don't know if that was the first time she met Jason or if she's met him before, but that was nice, the little
Mm.
interaction she had with Jason. And, like, didn't he say something like, that he wanted to be a Jedi or something about Jedi to her?
Yeah,
And
oh,
she was
yes. Can you
what did he
was it
say?
can you train me or can you show me the
Yeah.
a Jedi thing? Yeah,
And
something
then
like that.
Hera kinda was like, "Why don't you go take a look at the ship with Hu Yang?" But that convo he had with Hu Yang walking up where he's like, "Oh, can you train me?" He's like, "No." "Do you know how to build a lightsaber?" "Yes." "Can we build a lightsaber?" "No."
No,
Was
so good.
hilarious.
So Clone Wars, right? It was
Yeah.
just such a just a conversation out of Clone Wars, just that, like, really dry comedy, like, it's just so good. So, so good. I love that.
So wild. And then the next thing we got is what you called last week on Dark Side Secrets. So I'm sure you saw that, that reel that, Diamond Figs made this morning?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did.
You literally
I
called it to the T, everything. Like,
I
did you know? Hannah, what's going on?
I know, I'm getting leaks. Dave Filoni rang me up and say, "Hey, mention this next time you're on Star Wars with, okay?" Um, yeah, I don't know how I called that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know if I say it in my reaction video, but I remember, like, thinking, and I probably said it watching it. I was like, the whale opens its mouth, and I'm like, "I said this." I was like, "I
Yeah.
said that they were
Yeah.
gonna do this. Like, what is happening?"
That
So
that's
funny.
that sequence was beautiful.
Mm.
I think I kinda teared up a little bit too, the when all the space whales were going into space and they were
Oh,
about
yeah.
to hit hyperspace because I
Mm.
got Rebels finale vibes, and I was like, "Please let us see them open up, like, their tentacles and it light up and them shoot off
Mhm.
just like Rebels," and
Yeah.
they did, and it just
Yeah.
oh, it hit so good that moment.
And the music here was, like, so intense, like, the visually it
Oh,
was intense of, like, all the things you said, and then the music was, like, swelling and this, like, beautiful, like,
yeah.
Ahsoka-y, rebels-y sound. It was just
Yes.
so well done. Oh, man.
The
Ooh.
music was amazing. Like, this episode just overall, it it's like it's almost too good, and now it's like, I don't know when we will ever get anything this level. I'm sure the next 3 episodes are gonna be great and amazing, but there's no way that
Mm,
they're this level. So
mm,
it's like, "Oh, man, what" it's just it's crazy. It's crazy.
mm. I do think, like, one of my biggest compliments to this show is that the fact that we are getting one of the most peak Star Wars thing that a Star Wars fan would wanna see, which is a Clone Wars
Yep.
flashback, Hayden Christensen, we're getting these amazing things, but we're still also saying, "Hey, how cool was Shin doing this? Shin's such a cool character, and what is
Yes.
Balin doing?" And
Yes.
we haven't seen Thrawn, can't wait to see Thrawn. Like, even with all these incredible Clone Wars stuff, like, we still are excited for the other moments in this show. Like, these flashbacks and this moment, I feel like hasn't carried the show at all. Like, it's been an
Oh, no.
incredible moment, but it's like the
Yeah.
show is still so strong without it. So that's what I'm super excited for that because it's like, oh, this has actually got because I kind of agree of like this was insane and it's hard to kind of top the insanity of what these
Yeah.
flashbacks was in this episode, but also there's still so many like there's still so many strong things from this show that it's like, oh, you still want to keep watching. You still want to see what happens next week. So it's cool.
Yeah,
I really like it.
and you hit it right on the head, and I mentioned it in my stream earlier, I think we will, but Shin and Balin for being new, completely new people we know nothing about, I think pretty much almost everyone loves them and wants
Oh
more of
yeah.
both of them. Their story, more screen time, and
Mm.
that's crazy, and it goes to show how good Dave's writing is that he could create 2 new characters, mix them in with Ahsoka, Anakin, the Rebels crew, and we still like
And we're like,
them
who
and
are
want
these
more of
guys?
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's super awesome.
Mm.
And I was watching Josh's, stream, Den of
Mm.
Nerds, his reaction, and he loved the episode, and he was happy and positive, which that's rare from him with Star Wars, because he's
Yeah,
very
yeah, for
bold with the
sure.
Star Wars, so he's a picky guy, but then out of nowhere, he's like, "Damn it, Kenobi, I hate the Kenobi show." Like, he was, like, complaining about it. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And his point was valid. What we got in this episode is what I expected in Kenobi. We should have got
Mm.
stuff like this in
Yeah, that's probably
Kenobi.
that's true.
Flashbacks with Kenobi, with Anakin and Clone Wars, all their battles and lessons, just like we got it with Anakin and Ahsoka here. It should have been like that in Kenobi with Hayden and
Mm.
Hewan, man.
Yeah, because I think the flashbacks that we did get in Kenobi, like, that's I think for a lot of like almost majority of people, probably the highlight of that show, and I think it's because
Yeah,
it's showing that dynamic, and I do think they did it well where they had the flashback and then kind of tied it to what was happening in current
in the
time.
story.
I
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think they did that well, but I think that should have been more the tone for the rest of the show. I do agree with that. I think that that kind of
yeah,
comparison and study of that dynamic and relationship should have been more the focus of the show, which it was almost there. It was on its way there. It was
yeah. I
going there,
know,
but not
but
quite.
imagine if Filoni would have wrote Kenobi, the whole
I
thing would
keep
have been
thinking
Clone
that.
Wars.
I
Yeah.
keep thinking that.
How
Oh,
beautiful would it have been? Oh,
yeah. Yeah, 100%.
oh, so crazy. So
Mm,
now we're going into the next 3 episodes almost 100% blind. It's like 99.9% blind. The only
mm.
thing left from the trailers is the shot of Thrawn walking on the ship from the back and from the
Oh,
front,
yeah, yeah.
and one bit of dialogue where Anakin said something about in this war it's more than just droids. We didn't get any of that dialogue in this episode.
That is true. I
So
wonder my question with that of the just the Anakin quote specifically is and everyone's going, "Oh, we're gonna get another flashback." I don't think we'll get another flashback per se. I think
yeah.
we're gonna have Ahsoka's gonna there's gonna be some sort of conflict battle with someone, some people, whoever, and
Mhm.
Ahsoka's gonna be in it. And I think very much Ben Kenobi to Luke is Anakin is gonna show up in a critical moment for Ahsoka and remind her of something, and, like,
Yeah.
what was that line? "There's not only
In
droids"
this
or something?
war, there's it's more than just droids or something like that. Something about droids,
Yeah.
war and more than
I
just
I
droids.
think I think there would probably be more to that dialogue, there's more than just
Yeah.
droids, there's, like, yourself or something or,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
something really deep. I think there'll be more to dialogue, but I hope this is what I hope to see, I guess. He'll show up as, like, a little Force ghost to, like, remind her something and be like, "Hey, remember this?" And then
Mm.
that, like, gives her the strength to, win that fight or whatever, it is. But that's what I hope from that scene.
I think we're gonna get him as a Force Ghost, maybe, like, in the finale, but, Dave is cooking, man. He's gonna give us more. He is
Yeah.
cooking, cooking, cooking. What do you think we're gonna get in episode 6? That way I could clip out this prediction because it's gonna happen because you said it.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. Episode 6. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if it starts with this is a lot of pressure now because I'm like, it could come
Mm,
true.
yeah.
The episode could start with Ezra. I think that's actually a
Ooh,
possibility. A bit of a it's maybe like a foresty planet or something, or some sort of jungle planet, and we see Ezra running around a little bit, and he's maybe being chased by something, and then he gets
yeah.
back to his cave or something, and we have this whole introductory scene to Ezra, and then we
Mhm.
have, like, the title card, the Ahsoka comes up, the episode name comes up, and then it goes back into, where Morgan, Baylan, Shin, and Sabine are and entering the new galaxy. That's my prediction. It's gonna
Mm.
open with Ezra, but,
Ezra?
nothing's said or done. It's just, like, him and where he is literally, and then most of the show will be about, like, Shin, like, that ring, or everyone on the ring, essentially. Just
Yeah.
navigating the new galaxy. That's what it's gonna be, I think.
Nice. I don't even know what to think anymore. I kinda think it might start off, like, kinda how you said the second part where they're just entering that galaxy and they're getting there.
Mm,
I think it
yeah.
might start like that. I feel like there has to be a lot with them because they weren't in this episode at all, which is kinda crazy, right?
Yeah, yeah, but it
At
makes
all.
sense, but also, like, wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, it is, and I completely forgot about all of them. I was so busy, like, in this dream world that I wasn't even thinking about my baby Shin and the rest of them.
Mm,
But, yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see how it is
yeah.
next week. One thing I'm kinda want to happen, it wouldn't happen till, like, the finale is, say if Ezra comes back, because he hasn't met, Jason yet. So the moment
Mm,
that Ezra meets Jason is gonna be very special, especially because Jason's so strong in the Force, it seems like, and, like, it
mm.
being Kanan's son and Kanan's connection with Ezra, that's gonna be a special moment, but what if Ezra gives Jason Kanan's lightsaber? Because
Oh.
Kanan's lightsaber is on the Chimera because Governor Price got it after he died, gave it to Thrawn as a
Oh,
trophy, and Thrawn has it with all his trophies on his ship. So what if when Ezra crashes over there at the end of Rebels, he finds it and keeps it and takes it? How, like,
100%.
beautiful would that be to pass the father's lightsaber down to the son?
That'd be amazing, and I think that's again, that's almost like opening up for a show there. I would love to see Ezra
Yep,
become the
yep.
teacher for Jason.
100%.
100%.
I want that so bad if he comes back because Jason keeps saying, "I wanna be a Jedi. Can you train me? Can we build a lightsaber?" Like, it's like 3 or 4 times he dropped that he wants
Yeah.
to become a Jedi. He's not gonna give this little jabroni airtime like that for no reason with those
Yeah,
lines.
totally. That is so true. That is so true. So hopefully something good comes out of this for Jason.
Yeah. And there could be more crazy World Between Worlds stuff because technically that temple that has the entrance to the World Between Worlds is on the
Yes, that's
Chimera
right. On the
in
ship.
pieces
Yeah.
over there. So I
Mm.
kind of thought that if Ahsoka was in the World Between Worlds, she was gonna use that as a portal to pop up over there. but it ended up
Yes.
being
Yeah.
your space whale theory. But
Sp Go take the space whale mobile. Love it.
yeah, so I'm super excited for these next 3
Yeah.
episodes. It's gonna be a great 3 weeks. It just
Oh, yeah.
sucks after that. It's the dark times for a while.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, we just have to go into hibernation or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just wait
Yeah.
wait until we get an Ezra Jason show, I guess, but, I mean, hopefully this show gets a season 2. They're kind of
I
quite
hope.
open, like, it's never really, like, said either way, and they're always very sure not to mention anything, but I
Yeah.
hope with the reception it's getting that they do consider a season 2 because I think these are characters and storylines that people really care about. Yeah.
Yeah, I want a season 2 bad. Now, say if they were gonna give us a season 2, do you think we would get it before his movie or after his movie?
Gee, that's a good question. I could see it being a little bit fast tracked to become before his movie. I
Yeah?
could see them going, let's get a wriggle on this now. So yeah, I could see that happening in maybe 2025, 2026, maybe, depending on many other factors.
I
Yeah,
know.
I think we could get this series beforehand though.
Yeah, hopefully, we'll see. I just once all the strikes are over and stuff, then we'll kinda see what their game plan is. Cause like, what about all the other movies they have planned? Like, is everything gonna get pushed back? Because originally,
Yeah.
Ray movie and Filoni movie were both 2026. The Dawn of the
Mm.
Jedi was 2027. There's no way none of that is happening that quick.
Yeah,
No
I
way.
think there's gonna be a big, like, just shift of everything and overhaul, once, there's no real end of the strike in sight just yet,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, incredibly sad for the writers and actors, but,
Yep.
I it you know, it yeah, it is gonna make massive waves in the timing of things and releases of things, so, yeah, we're gonna have a bit of time to rewatch the show, I guess.
I know, I know. I hope that Disney sees how well received this is from Dave Filoni and that they lean on him more and give him more projects, put him in charge. Like, he should be in charge of all the movies. Like, why are they wasting money hiring all these random directors? Just give
Mm.
it to Dave. Let Dave do
Mm,
everything.
mm. Yeah, I think, and like on this conversation, because obviously we're all saying it because of how good this show is.
Yeah.
I think I have a middle ground perspective of I think
Mm.
he should be the writer of most things, if not like
Oh,
everything. But
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think he should be writing everything, if not like executive writing, producer, like just seeing how everything's written. And then because in this show, like, this is the only episode he's directed, and to be
The
fair, it's
second
the
one.
best episode. Oh,
He
what
did the
was the other
first one.
one he
The
directed?
first one was his.
Oh, no way! Oh my
Yeah,
god, I
he
didn't even know
started he
that, that's
started it off,
hilarious.
yeah, mhm.
Okay, there you go. Um, but I haven't minded, like, I haven't had anything really bad to say about the directing of the other episodes. So we've
No, they've been
had,
great.
yeah, like, Peter Ramsey and Steph Green for the
Mm,
other ones as well, and they've been really good. So I think there could be a bit of like a he be like the key writer writing the shows
yeah.
and movies. I do think we've like maybe over diversified all the media for Star Wars. Like let's just focus on like if I could rewind time a little bit, like let's just have one season of Ahsoka, maybe one season of Mando, like every year or something. I think there is too
Oh,
many like
yeah.
different kind of
Oh,
avenues we're going now.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
like Skeleton Crew, I'm sure it'll be cool, but I'm not dying for it. The same with
Yeah,
Acolyte. Maybe it's
so
cool,
heck
but
yeah.
I'd trade Acolyte and Skeleton Crew for a second season of Ahsoka in a heartbeat.
100%, 100%. Yes, yeah, yeah.
And I definitely agree with you 100%. I don't care who directs it, but if he writes everything, that's
Yeah,
fine because the
it's
story
good.
will make
Yeah,
sense and flow and be the closest thing to George than George. So,
yeah,
yeah, I guess we'll see.
100%.
Now, do you think next year, because we have 4 Star Wars projects next year, there's Skeleton Crew, Acolyte. Tales of the Jedi, and then Bad Batch, and then Andor. There's
Mm.
5. Do you think they're only gonna give us 2 next year and then push the 2 of them to the other year and then 1 to the next year just because 'cause they're not gonna have no content because of the strikes?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a really good question. Probably. I mean, out of I think there's been like 6 or 7 pieces of like visual media that has released in Star Wars the past 2 years. I think
Mhm.
6 out of those 7 have had date changes. So,
Oh,
they're
yeah,
not
yeah,
they're not afraid of date changes.
yeah.
So I definitely think something like that could happen. Maybe some projects that could take a little longer or just could have some more time rendering, like Bad Batch maybe could get shifted to a little further. Maybe same with Acolyte as well, because I don't really know where those projects are up to, but, yeah, I definitely see them kind of stretching things to be a little bit
Mm.
longer so there aren't massive gaps, but, we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully they give us Tails next, because if they're gonna stretch other stuff, give us, like, the ones we don't care about further away. Give us, like, Tails and Bad Batch next year. Like, if we
Yeah,
could only get 2, give me Tails and Bad Batch. I'll be
I would
happy with
agree
that.
actually, yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, out of everything else, you could push it back, put Andor to
Oh, wait, no
2030.
yeah.
I could care less about that. Like, let's give us the
Oh,
Dave
I
stuff
love it.
now. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
oh man. So that's pretty much everything I have. What do you have coming up next on your channel that the people could look forward to?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, of course, every week we have the live show counting down every episode of Ahsoka, and then also 2 days later, which will be I don't know when this airs, but sometime, 2 days after the episode, we do a fan discussion, which, everybody loves it. The whiteboard comes out, and, we go
Yes.
over all the cool elements from the episode and break down, little interesting scenes and pieces of dialogue. So that's always super fun over on the channel, and, I'm currently also playing through Squadrons because Hera's in it.
Nice.
That's the real live action Hera there we go.
Yeah.
So I'm having a good time playing through Squadrons as well, throughout the week. But that's what's happening at the Rayside.
Nice. So guys, again, the link to her channel will be down in the description below. Be sure to check her out. Thank you, Hannah, for your time. Appreciate you coming on again.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast.
Yes. And that's it for this episode of Sith Talk. We'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.